Hi, boys and girls. So I'm going to model for you, okay, with the librarian teacher modeled with our books. So one of our most recent, or just one of our recent book of the days was There Might Be Lobsters. Okay, so to think about before, okay, I had, okay, and part of this question also went because when we look here, we can see it's at a beach, and then I see, we see things in the distance, but we're never really told where are they. And it makes me wonder what state they're in and what city. Is this along the ocean or is this along a lake? And when I think about that, so that was my question. Where are they and which city or state and which beach are they in? Okay, but I also want to know, does the beach have a strip of restaurants or something? Because regularly at the beginning of the story and throughout, remember the birds knock and go steal the man's burger and his fries go flying, but all the way even to the end of the book, okay, when she has ice cream. It kind of makes me wonder, because I know she didn't bring that ice cream, it would have melted. Okay, so is there a strip of restaurants along there? Okay, like where is all the food coming from? Okay, so those were some wonderings. Okay, another wondering. Okay, I wondered this through right kind of from the very beginning, and a couple times I did some checking, like I would reread a little bit. Maybe this is the adult side to your teacher, but it says the wondering I had is where are they and who is with them? It just seems dangerous to watch them be at the beach by themselves. They're by themselves. Like, who's watching them? I mean, maybe she's more grown up than she's presented in the story. I guess that's possible. Maybe she lives right around the corner, and we may never know, and that's okay. But I did wonder throughout, where is somebody coming later? Did somebody meet up with her later? And that was one of my wondering. So that wondering led into this one. Like, how long did they stay at the beach? And did other people come and join her and Suki? And how they get home? Like, how they get there? Did they walk? Did they walk back home? Did they ride a bike? Or are they catching a bus? Somebody picking them up? I don't know. Something I was wondering throughout that whole story. And the fourth wondering I had is when we know that Suki is kind of a scaredy cat throughout the story and kind of but faces her fears, right? I was just wondering at home, what is her, does she have lots of fears at home, outside or inside? Like, I wondered, is she afraid of the vacuum? My dog kind of barks at it. So kind of depends on the dog. So I was wondering and picturing in my head, what are some other things that could cause Suki to be afraid? Because I also know I've had a dog in the past who was super afraid of thunderstorms. My Addie is now, but definitely not like my dog that I used to have. Okay. So now let's look at mine. Okay. So today, what you're going to do is with 4 Post-its, while you read, you think about your characters and you just think about what's happening in your story. You think about your who, what, when, where, why, how. And I just kind of use all the setting and the places and my characters to kind of think those things inside my head. So you're going to give this a try today in the book that you choose. Okay. But I'd like to show you the book that I'm reading that I'm really enjoying. And it is called The Genius Files by Dan Gutman. And when I'm reading out of my books, I sometimes use little smaller Post-its. And so these are like little longer strips. And so you will see on page 112, okay, there's a picture of a bunch of Pezzes. And the thing that fascinates me about this author is it's an action story. And it has, kid geniuses in it. they face a lot of challenges, and they problem solve to get out of them together. But what he does is super cool, is he gives so many true facts. So he doesn't necessarily teach historical fiction, but he is teaching some informational. So like right here, he tells us when the Pez began in the 1927, in the year 1927. So my wondering was, what was the actual first Pez? Because I have a Garfield one that was really old, almost a little bit antique. Okay, but what was the first Pez? So that was one of my wonderings. My next wondering was a chapter 15, and it says, I'll be watching you. And what's been happening is there's been some kind of bad guys that are trying to catch the twins. Okay, so they're a twin brother and sister, and they're always on these adventures. Okay, but there's these bad people that are trying to catch all the genius kids in the world. And so all of a sudden the two characters are, this is Coke and this is Pepsi. Isn't that fun? But she goes by Pep, so it's Coke and Pep. But Coke keeps getting notes under his pillow, and I just keep wondering who is doing that and when, because they're around their little camper thing a lot. So it kind of makes me go, is this person a good guy or a bad guy that keeps slipping them their notes? And the clues really haven't, told me either way yet. And so my next one, not too far away from that one, is actually my fourth post-it. So it's my choice one, because Coke's kind of a jokester and Pep's kind of serious like me. And Coke's a jokester. He likes to pick on his sister a little bit. And so they were going to play games because they're traveling across country to go to their aunt's wedding. And so in the camper, they decided to play cards. And so he started to pick on her on what a 52 card pickup game is. She had never heard of it. And if you've never heard of it, it's no fun. And I have a text to self connection because I fell for the trick with my sister when I was growing up, just like Pep. Okay. My last one. Okay. Toward here, because I'm kind of in the middle of a chapter right now. Okay. But what ended up happening is my prediction came right, y'all. I predicted right at the very beginning something kind of serious happens, and I can't tell you. And I'm like, come on, no, that can't happen. And it did. But then other things happened. So my prediction was confirmed. But I had a huge wondering. My huge wondering about it is, where do they go? Like, these good guys who try to help these two genius twins and get them out of trouble a lot, like, they disappear. And like explosions happen, and like, bad guys are coming at them, and poof, they're gone. But I've never in this story caught on to that he mixes fantasy, because this is very realistic. And so parts of me are like, okay, so is it a mixture of fantasy and realistic or not? And so my last post-it there is kind of with a wondering that I hope to find out as I continue reading his books. So now, what I want you to see is what you are now going to go do on your own. Okay? So here is the book of the days. There might be lobsters. I just showed you my 4 pink post-its, and then I brought them here and typed them in. So where are they? Which city and state are they in? Which beach? So you heard me say that. How did they get to the beach? Are they alone? How long did they stay at the beach? Did other people join them? How'd they get home? And I actually didn't add this part, but I added it when I was typing, is how old is Suki? And is Suki afraid of a lot of other things? If so, what? And I probably add to that too, is what does she really like? Okay, and so my teacher book, I did the same thing. So on page 112, what was the first Pez? So I typed it here. And on page 152, how did the note get under Coke's pillow? When and by who? So you heard me read those to you. How are the Genius Files team traveling and disappearing? Is this a book of fantasy, or are they just super lucky? And lastly was my connection of the 52 card pickup. I am going to make a connection to Coke's 52 card challenge with his sister Pep. This moment reminded me exactly of when my sister tricked me with the 52 card game. Okay, so boys and girls, you're going to see a slide like this on Seesaw, and it takes you step by step in how the librarian modeled the importance of questioning. She modeled what she did inside her head and how she did that throughout the book. You saw another wonderful teacher model wondering before, during, and after. And now you have watched me do a book of the day, but you have also just got introduced to what book Miss Arnold is reading right now. Okay, so when you get on Seesaw, I'd like you to find your activity and please read the directions. Okay, and you can get started. Happy reading.